Vocabio. Master English your way.
That we exude that confidence and strength that people that are naysayers
more likely to exude white cultural traits than black kids.
You just exude positive energy and your smile is infectious and it's awesome.
Couldn't see that in a way, exudes from all of your projects in relation to this, which
and so the amount of greenhouse gas that you exude to get one bean is really low. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so feel it and take it in and bask on it. Don't concentrate, focus on it, but just let it be there.
To be ideologically free. Thank you. And Barbara, can you take the third question? Is the UK-ness?
There are people who want to bask in the favors lent by the government.
Whether they'll decide to bask in sorrow and regret of what was or wasn't, or what.
Hugs and handshakes, and just getting to really, truly bask in this moment of.
I mean, it slowly deregulates apartments, which I think is fair.
And it set up my system to be deregulated, and that and.
So, if you deregulate or liberate the labor market, you are creating more inequality.
And it set up my system to be deregulated, and that and.
Because actually, deregulating on your own, unless you do it in company with others.
Yo, we got to go fix the tire. And you just beckoned with your head and your kid followed you and you changed the tire.
Arrived St. Louis, 7:56. And Marvin Barnes beckons me over.
Very much.
It's a story, and a lot of it's already been out there, so I don't want to rehash kind of the lore of it, is that we started out as a pop-up.
We saw through Brexit, and I won't kind of rehash how we got here, but in terms of...
Now, what's NASA's mission? Just to rehash for you people that, don't read our strategic plan.
40, 50 years, and now we're starting to rehash that with our near-peer threats.
Cancer journey, and that can only magnify it. And so that's where I think that that's where advocates come.
I said this exhibition has probably only been magnified by the exhibition 2 years ago that was devoted.
So we'll go back to our friendly fungi that's been magnified 40x, and I want to show you what this looks like and why it's important. If we
2, 3, or 10 homes, then you are magnifying that risk. And yes, it has worked.
Estimating their contributions, which just magnifies the problem.
Good. For the most part have been justified. Of course, we had the irresponsible.
What I think justified writing the noise, writing the book, was
surfaced in order to justify the practice.
Yes, this is really a crucial.
Parliament, how on earth could you justify enriching yourself? This single transaction
way of moving on and of justifying the big shift that he would then make towards the
sunshine and love, then it will germinate and grow. So these certain bacteria can make
fault and it doesn't germinate. And also, if you start from seed, I think
for Leonardo, where I showed you where it germinated from that first notebook page, where for Leonardo, where I showed you where it germinated from that first notebook page, where he's
flower, fertilize the flower, drop a seed, germinate, and grow another plant. Guess what?
Of human existence, we see that living standards are fluctuating.
People, especially whose weight tends to fluctuate, people ask me, can I have my
result in your diagnostics to fluctuate a lot. And so you have to deal with uncertainty.
I don't want too much of my money fluctuating. I'm going to have 60 or 70% of my money in
names. Throughout life, your goals fluctuate. Certainly, sometimes they're very clear and sometimes they're not.
No, so that completely outpaced it. And for that matter, Syrian Cortana are smarter than...
Down in a very simple way, because consistency will always outpace any fad diet that you're doing. We can...
As their high cognitive abilities outpace their emotional resilience, leaving them vulnerable to stress.
Where technology is outpacing the law, we need to challenge ourselves to
work. The costs
continue to outpace the revenue, forcing me to make a difficult decision.
About 20% get medically disqualified, usually eyesight, something wrong with their ticker or hearing.
You didn't have stable housing. Those are all disqualifying. You couldn't get care anywhere else in the city. So this
short-term effect, he's disqualified for running for office in the future. The political effects of that.
I will be disqualified for only one reason, because I'm gay.
Of Nambian female sprinters who were disqualified from these Summer Olympics due to naturally high levels of
crash that followed that tightened lots of the lending rules. And again, poor millennials.
Over time to be tightening, continually tightening our criteria for what we're saying.
And dopamine, enhance focus, they tighten focus, they drive us more into the now. Also speeds up muscle.
When I get stressed, my back tightens up. So this is now my vodka. I have to
about to tighten it because I feel like women change shapes and sizes every year.
Where they get to calm, you can de-escalate before going into the fire, where you begin to begin to compost.
You would have to, if you really wanted to de-escalate the emotional value of those words, they would need to be presented in.
And so those types of things are like de-escalate, separate, and maybe the party's over.
We train our models to recognize distress, de-escalate conversations, and guide users towards real-world solutions.
Get all that in order to de-escalate the power struggle as much as possible. Yeah.
Right. I mean, so you sort of alluded to the importance of focus. So let's get into the heart.
As you alluded to some research that suggests, possibility of conscious
desire, how, I guess you've alluded to the idea that it's perhaps not entirely conscious.
Yeah. Weaponization is, I alluded to it earlier as well, it's the way that
the spikiness of homelessness.
And you've alluded to it, but could you just kind of dive
to bring in and kind of tease out and entangle, probably not disentangle, some of the issues that came up today. In their peculiarly entangled mediality, this paper seeks to explore the role and agency of
museums architecture, spectatorship becomes entangled with the cinematic architecture.
Important to emphasize the history of their experience abroad is now entangled in the identity of both their former
this compositional arrangement, and thus entangles the labor of the author and performer in ways that gives each.
So Asperger believed that many of the boys could be remediated if they receive,
measure or perceive or remediate, and perhaps should be considered
money to help remediate the opioid crisis. And their proposal was
and negative, something that completely can be remediated. And so if you had a world where they could.
And now they're in the process of successfully remediating the site. They've removed tons of trash.
Reasoning, and we superimpose these categories that are not really there.
Very much inspired by this interest in superimposing or hybridizing two traditional roof forms within the
curve. As this sort of curve superimposed on the elevation. If we mirror that curve, we get something.
We've seen marked by a series of superimposed frames of different sizes.
But now, watch, you can superimpose the entire skeleton that we'd revealed in the.
It provides a legal status that Congress has not authorized. So the judge has to consider that.
There was vaccines that had been authorized in the United States, and for a period of time.
To remain DACA and employment authorized until that DACA date terminates.
Right. Money, the legislature didn't authorize them to do that. It's a gray area.
Build constraints into the legislation that authorizes the use of these kinds of systems to require.
Just crispy tortilla chips, and then you simmer them in whatever type of salsa you're using. And then
supposed to tell people to simmer this for 1 to 3 minutes or until it is.
And I'm going to add the water and let it simmer. And that cooks for a very long time. So you've got like 80 minutes.
Légumes de nos paysans, des paysans autour de Monaco, mijotés en cocotte de fonte, et l'arpe.
Vision came 5 years ago. I think it was simmering, and it was exposed in to a degree.
That Trump will do to try to alleviate conflict in the Middle East. And if so, what that might look like.
You give that person the facts, you have alleviated their ignorance.
A stupid person is someone who has the fact.
Iowa, a very white state, and alleviate a lot of voters' doubts, including African Americans, by the way.
The Bruckner Expressway, it was all about alleviating congestion. And guess what? All it did was create more congestion.
And groceries, and that alleviated a lot of stress from the students. And if
Vocabio, available in Google Play. Download, discover, improve your English.